Okay, so this deck started from a chatter submitted deck. Shout out to Moxfield user Awesome Mixtape. They sent me this on Friday in between rounds of the challenge with a pretty cool idea here. So the idea is that you play some cheap creatures and you can use Diabolic Intent to sack those creatures or Profane Tutor to suspend. And one of these 7 tutors is going to be able to find you Ad Nauseam. When you cast Ad Nauseam, the mana cost of your deck is really, really low. You get to basically draw your entire deck and then cast a Grapeshot. I thought this was actually a pretty cool idea. You get Phyrexian Tower also as a cheap mana accelerant. I really actually like that Phyrexian Tower lets you cast a tutor on turn 1 a lot of the time to set up for a turn 3 Ad Nauseam kill. Mox Opal also does that. I think it was a pretty cool idea. So I ended up working on the deck. My build is, I think, pretty different. Let's see. So I'm playing 17 lands instead of 20. 20 lands I think was way too high. I'm playing Strike It Rich, Wild Cantor. I'm playing the full 8 tutors, which I think is pretty important. You just have to have one of these in your opening hand. I'm also playing Greedy Freebooter instead of the Shambling Gas, because I think the Scry 1 is more important than the possibility of giving -1/-1. I think the Scry, like, is in this deck, I don't think I need to defend that too much. And I'm also playing a main deck Boseiju who shelters all that you can just tutor for, but you could also get Expedition Map off Saga to play. So this way you don't just automatically lose to an opposing deck that's playing counter spells. Vindicate the 57 months. Thank you. Welcome back. So a little bit different, but like I would not have been there without Awesome Mixtape's idea. We also built the sideboard. There was no sideboard at the time. We have the extra pathway in the sideboard, so when you want to cut the Boseiju, you can have a land that is painless, enters untapped, and taps for mana. You have Grafdigger's Cage against Breach. You have Haywire's Mite and Nature's Claim for artifact and enchantments you need to deal with. Angel's Grace is a card you want to board in if your opponent's an aggro deck. This way you can combo off while... you can combo off and take some damage. And then the Duresses are actually really important for consign to memory decks. You hear a lot of times chatters go, oh, we could bring in Consign against Storm, Consign against Storm. Consign isn't very good against Ruby Storm. It counters Ruby. It doesn't do nothing. But against this deck, a Consign would just beat us. So I think we need to be able to like find a couple of Duresses and duress them before they can consign the Grapeshot. Can't consign the Ad Naus, though. So thank you, Vindicate with the 57, Mailing with the 24. Let's get in there. Shout out to my friend Jessie for winning the RC yesterday. I'm really, really hyped for her. Shout out to Dingo, Krista, Josh, also friends of mine who got Pro Tour qualifications. Very cool. Hope everybody had fun in Charlotte, those who went. All right, this hand is a turn 3 win on the play. Let's keep. One thing I really like about Profane Tutor 2 is it just like is not really disruptible by discard spells. I guess we do have to draw one more mana source too. Have I considered Song of Creation sub deck? Yeah, we have played Song of Creation on this channel. I don't think we've done it since Mox Opal was unbanned, so I've been kind of wanting to circle back to the build we had, but yeah, we have done that. Okay, so this is a little bit interesting. Let me cast this Wild Cantor. My opponent's played a Delta, and we don't know exactly what this means. I think I'm just going to Diabolic Intent for a Phyrexian Tower. Basura with the 49 months. Thank you. Welcome back. I guess that would have been the wrong call. Yeah, maybe should have grabbed Boseiju. So with this Profane Tutor that's coming off suspend, maybe we need to grab Urza Saga, because like we have no resources in our hand. The Urza Saga can get us 2 constructs that we can like sack the Phyrexian Tower, put some pressure on our opponent, buy some time, and then it can also get Expedition Map for Boseiju, which we're probably going to need to be able to resolve an Ad Nauseam later. So yeah, let's go ahead and get Urza Saga off Profane Tutor. And then we find another Profane Tutor, which is pretty dang good. Yeah, the classic Rakdos list was fine. I don't think it was better than like the mono black build though, or Necro or Mart. So it was okay. I think in general, Dauthi Voidwalker's in a pretty good place to be. Could make the backup plan of Bushwhacker for this deck. Doesn't exactly make that much sense, I think. We could, I suppose, maybe How do you beat Tasha's? You kill them before they can cast Tasha's, I guess. That card is pretty good against us. Win the die roll. Okay, untapped Water Grave. Took down the Profane Tutor. Wow, another Saga. Sort of drawing perfectly. Sort of. So what's nice is I can combo off next turn if I need to, like if my opponent puts me under a bunch of pressure. Did I already give my take on the RC this weekend? I'm really excited for my friend Jesse, who is going to Worlds. I'm just like over the moon that that's happening. So Memnite can chump for a turn. I'm just so happy that that's happening. And several of my other friends qualify for the PT. Underworld Breach is like almost definitely going to get banned, I think. So there's that. Act accordingly. Jesse Robkin. Longtime friend of mine. Okay, has a Force of Negation, unfortunately. So I guess instead of continuing with plan A, we're going to pivot right on over to plan B. I did not see the Rhino's Twins list, no. That sounds pretty cool. Hopefully they don't have a Fatal Push. That would be pretty bad. It would be nice if they emergency ban Breach instead of Burn. Oh, that's not going to happen, but I agree scheduled BNRs would be nice. Or to get rid of. But that won't happen, it seems. I had a Titan player tell me day 2... I had a Titan player tell me in day 2, tell me that they had me dead and asked if I wanted them to play it out. Said yes, and they died to my Solitude because one of the lands they needed was already exiled. Yeah, I've been saying this a little bit, but there is, I think, a pretty big tournament issue with Titan, with the way the loops are. They one a lot of times can intentionally or accidentally misrepresent like what is going on in the game. I think most of the time it's not intentional. But it's just kind of easy to do. And they also just get to ask you, hey, what interaction do you have in your hand? and you kind of have to tell them. Because like whenever it's like, I don't like this little sub game where it's like, hey, I have this loop I'm going to do. But you can't, but then either you concede if you have nothing, or you go, okay, play it out. And if you say play it out, they can sniff out what interaction you have. And if they can sniff out what interaction you have, then okay, they probably mistimed this one. If they can sniff out what interaction you have, then they can just play differently, and they can usually play around this stuff. So I think that this sub game is pretty bad for tournament environments. I missed that this was going to be big enough to block a construct. My opponent is still going to have to chump block though, and I have 2 Ornithopters to block a Murktide as well. I've never seen so many players on Twitter calling for an emergency ban on scheduled ban announcements. Wait, banning the ban announcements? Is that what you mean? I don't know. I've been pretty offline or off social media, but scheduled BNRs are really bad for the game. I'm really hopeful that leaves ever. That's good that people are fine. I've been saying this for like a year, that this is like just so bad for competitive formats, but as in ban Breach and ban schedule BNRs. Nice. I think that's something I'm in favor of. Like I would like to see. So at March 31st, we have a scheduled BNR. I would like to see them get rid of scheduled BNRs. I'd like to see them ban Underworld Breach. I'd like to see them ban Amulet of Vigor. This seems not that likely, but I think I would certainly like to see it. I'd like to see Birthing Pod come back. I'd like to see Umezawa's Jitte come back. Maybe something else. There's nothing really super clear like what that extra thing is. Am I attacking with everything here? If they have a single removal spell, they go to 1, and I have 2 Memnites in place. I think so. Yeah, you could maybe do Punishing Fire. Probably Ponder could be fun. So, like, I'd like to see like 2 to 3 cards come off the ban list, and there are several that you could choose. Really nice to win game 1 here, without comboing off. I wasn't actually sure how often. I mean, obviously, like Triple Saga is basically the only time that's going to happen, but it did happen, so that's cool. Let's bring in the Duresses. I think I want to go down Diabolic Intents. I think it's, obviously if you're sacking like Greedy Freebooter, it's not that big a deal, but when it gets like Spell Snared or Spell Pierced, it's like particularly brutal. Do you think Nautilus Nadu could splash Elish Norn for Orzhov / Titan? So when I was playing Nautilus Nadu recently, I was main decking a Harbinger of the Seas. I haven't played much of the Orzhov matchup. I feel like play draw ends up mattering a lot. I think that like Solitude Ephemerate matters a lot. Like if they don't have Solitude Ephemerate, if you're on the play, like if one of those 2 things are true, it's pretty good for you. You can also beat those draws sometimes. But I also haven't played a lot of the matchup, so I'm not really sure. I am planning on playing Nautilus Nadu at the Hunter Burton later, or at the end of this week. Also, Strike It Rich is a card I don't know that I have ever registered on this channel. Okay, I think I should play the Drum turn 1 so I can go Cantor, Suspend Profane Tutor. But I do think that this is a pretty good Strike It Rich deck. Like I found myself a lot of times going turn 1 Strike It Rich, turn 2 Suspend Profane Tutor, turn 3 Flashback Strike It Rich, and I need that extra mana too. Okay, I do think I'm gonna crack this. Punishing Fire, Hypergenesis, Ponder, Jitte, Pod, Kadar probably save you to come back. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I do think like a lot of these are kind of asking for trouble. Like Punishing Fire, if this card is competitive, it isn't a very good tournament gameplay card. Same thing with Hypergenesis. I do think that Jitte and is like Jitte like specifically is just going to be almost certainly low enough impact that it is going to be fine, but there's definitely some weirdness. I think I want all of these on red so I can go. Triple Strike It Rich next turn if I want to. I registered Strike It Rich in Creativity Storm on April 12th, 2023. Oh yeah, that deck. Why didn't it work? You could Creativity into a Bolas and Citadel in your Storm deck. Did I see the top rank Hollow 1 deck at 11-3? It had 4 main deck Voidwalkers. Yeah, actually, so that's Krista, who's a friend of mine, and I messaged her congrats for top rating, and she said that she was watching the stream, and that's why she main decked the Voidwalkers. I said that was a good choice to play them in a good deck. But yeah, very cool. I think main deck Voidwalker and Hollow 1's pretty cool. I've also been saying this for a while, is that Hollow 1 is a deck that is very hard to build correctly, and is just one that is going to take so long to figure out, I think. All Mox Opal decks all the time, sad face. I don't know what you want me to do. Listen, look how fucking sick this deck is. Imagine coming into the chat and complaining. Come on. Spike, you are the only streamer that says Titan is bad for the format, and for this matter, I love you so much. Well, thank you. I don't know. I really try to keep my arguments succinct. Not that I've always done this, but succinct and clear why I think Titan is negative for the format. We'll see. What's the upside of unbanning Jitte? Well, so this is the thing about Umezawa's Jitte, is it's kind of embarrassing for this card to be on the ban list because it's so weak. So it's kind of a weird situation. Oh, sorry, I need to be popping this to deny the token. Sorry about that. It's kind of a weird situation because I think this card is genuinely so bad that like it is it has no business being on the modern ban list, but it is. So the upside of unbanning it is that we can move on with our lives and never have to talk about it again, maybe. Okay, so this does give me the 5th mana to cast Ad Nauseam next turn. Although, sorry, I'm shuffling with Profane Tutor. I do think I have to get the Ad Nauseam because my life total is just going to be too low if I wait. Although there's a good chance this just gets countered. Okay. And we draw a Wild Cantor because we didn't end up shuffling. So we'll give it like one more turn. We'll probably have to take this to game 3. Yeah, like maybe Jete sees play as a one of and Hammer, which is a pretty not that good deck, although Gear Hulk made it better. Do you plan to play Mono Blue Urza again? Love that list. Yeah, we played it in the challenge on Friday. I like the deck. It was like pretty fine in the challenge. We had like a small run. I would play it again. Like, I just can't really see a world where Jete is, like, possibly an oppressive card. Like, it's honestly just, like, even silly to think it could happen. What is the Blightstep pathway on the side for? When you want to board out your Boseiju. Elevation with the 40 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. All right, let's go to game 3. Let's go to game 3. On the play for game 3. Hoping we can get Boseiju plus Ad Nauseam assembled. What do you think about banning Spelunking, Dryad, or Analyst as the targeted hit to Amulet so it doesn't completely destroy the archetype? So I've died on turn 3 enough times to just Spelunking to think that if Spelunking was legal instead of Amulet, it would not completely destroy the archetype. I have to keep this. I also think that like it's kind of silly to it's just kind of ridiculous to do this with like in a simple word, it's ridiculous to like even like to do this sincerely, right? Where it's like, why like banning the worst card for the sake of keeping a broken card legal because people play it? It's never been something that has been a good idea. That's just never a good idea. I think like Amulet of Vigor is the most powerful mana generating card in the modern format. It is a 1 mana card that regularly makes 10, 20 mana in a single turn. It's broken. It's unbalanced. And so like if we're gonna ban something, we should ban the broken 1 mana artifact, I think, instead of the 3 mana enchantment. And Spelunking gets to exist. And I promise you, if Amulet of Vigor is banned, Primeval Titan will still top 8 modern tournaments. Okay, so I get my Mox Opal online. So I'm going to play my Expedition map. Tap this for black. Well, I guess I could actually go... It's actually probably better for me to go... Make a Saga token, and then this lets me use the Springleaf Drum to do this. And then next turn, I can Expedition map for Boseiju. And then hopefully the Profane Tutor resolves. I guess that's been a big issue. Is they just keep countering the tutors instead of the payoffs. Was Summer Bloom actually the issue back in the day? I really think it probably should have been Amulet then too. And also like there's this funny issue with the Summer Bloom ban. It was that there was a player who was cheating with the card Summer Bloom, would just stack his deck. And I think this was found out after Summer Bloom was banned. So I always found that dynamic to be kind of funny. Does this deck of sweet? What are your considerations having 27 total non-as mana value? Does that feel too low, too high, irrelevant? It feels like about a pretty good number to be starting with, as I suppose is my response to that one. Okay, so let's grab Springleaf Drum. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So looks like I can actually plan to Diabolic Intent for Ad Nauseam if my opponent counters the Profane Tutor here. Trigger for more damage. I think I want to hold this back, even though they can fly the frog. Okay. Do you think you should slide in Torpor against Boros Energy? I think you can slide in exactly one copy if you want to. It's not mandatory to do that, though. Carnitas with the Twitch Prime. Thank you. Welcome back. I personally would hate to see him let go simply because it's the most interesting deck, in my opinion. No, it's not for everyone. Yeah, I think that this is fine. I know it hurts to get your deck banned. I also just kind of always feel like this is never really a very good argument. And, you know, it's not the most interesting to play against, we'll say. They're playing a Murktide? Okay, that's good news for me. Do you think this game you should have went for the plan B and made a bunch of constructs? I think almost definitely not this game, no. It seems like we were a bit too good at assembling Boseiju plus Ad Nauseam with a reasonable life total. We'll see if like they have a counterspell for this. They have a Spell Pierce, so I can go 1/2, then I have 1. So if I guess I only have one thing to tap to a drum. So if I get a Memnite, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can pay. So grab Ad Nauseam. Drew Mox Opal. Gonna get a Ornithopter, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Black. Now we do have to tap the Boseiju. So it's possible that we also have already drawn one Diabolic Intent and we boarded out 2. So we should be in pretty good shape here. Can't be countered. We also boarded in the Duresses, so should my opponent have a consign, I guess they don't have blue mana up, huh? They're also only at 14, so basically as soon as we hit, I think it's kind of impossible to brick because we would have to hit like a bunch of Diabolic Intents, but if that happens, we should be able to Diabolic Intent for the Grapeshot. Okay, we found the Grapeshot. We still have 3 life. We have nothing in our deck that costs 3, so we can keep going until we go to at least 2. Okay, then we went to 2. So it looks like we should have easily enough. So let's say no to repeating this. I'm going to start off, I think, and just go Phyrexian Tower, sacrifice the Ornithopter Duress. Seems like the first thing to do. Nice. Yeah, circling back, I don't think it was right to go for the Saga plan B. Definitely a difficult game to navigate for the very first game of the day, up against all counterspells. But we have done it. I'm just going to go ahead and cast the Grapeshot. Not so bad. I'm glad they didn't keep that Sink into the Stupor up, because that was kind of good against my Boseiju plan. Yeah, I haven't tried Song of Creation since the Opal unbanning. We were playing a little bit before, because that was the Boros metagame, so we just had to work on all the combo decks. Okay, so we're 1-0. Let's keep. So I'm going to look at the top card of my library. Oh, no, sorry. I'll have Metalcraft for Mox Opal, so I can crack both baubles. Yeah, Dingo getting the Pro Tour invite is super cool. I was texting him a little bit. The long tank with the Mishra's Bauble in play. Yeah, I've been saying this a lot lately too. Is like this is not a perfect modern metagame. It might not even be a good modern metagame, but it's much better than what we had the last 6 months. Just not a very high bar to clear. The results of this weekend's tournament, 6 of the 8 topping breach, even though everyone was gunning for it. Update your opinion on need for a ban. Yeah, I think you should ban Underworld Breach in Modern. I think that it seems pretty clear that they will. I would have a hard time imagining that after the results of this weekend that Breach remains legal after March 31st. It's possible they ban Opal instead, but I would think it's a lot more likely they ban Breach. Okay, so let's see if we can set up to combo next turn. The problem is that they have this Goblin Bombardment in their hand that seems kind of likely they're going to be able to set up in a way that my life total is going to be kind of low. Body bag with the 1 year. I think we'll go back. Opal will be banned eventually again. So people keep saying this. Ban Opal. Opal's the problem. If they ban Breach, the next Mox Opal deck will take over. Opal will eventually be banned again. This is an opinion people have. To those who have this opinion, what do you think is the next best Opal deck? And what next best Opal deck do you think would be tier 1 in Modern going forward? Or do you think it's something that will just kind of happen down the line? And if it does happen down the line, is that the problem of Mox Opal, or is that the problem of them printing a broken card? I will say, of course, that I think both stances are pretty reasonable to take. Affinity. So Affinity currently sucks in Modern. It's quite bad. I think the mono blue Urza deck is like the closest we have to like a playable Affinity deck. I think that one is okay. But to say that Affinity will take over the Modern metagame is almost just like provably not going to happen. You tell us, you're the one that cooks here. Well, my opinion is that that's not going to happen. My opinion is that Mox Opal decks are very easy to hate out. And the problem is that Underworld Breach is a card that is very, very difficult to hate out. Underworld Breach is a card that lets you combo through a Force of Vigor on like turn 3. It's like because of how resilient this card is. This is a graveyard card that is not weak to graveyard hate. Okay, so obviously with this bombardment in play, things are getting a little bit messy. I'm going to get Springleaf Drum instead of Mox Opal here so that there's a little bit lower mana value in my deck. So yeah, again, it's not my opinion that that's what's going to happen. Okay, so I can't go below 11. I already found the Grapeshot. That's good. Oh my gosh, I went below 11. Sorry about that. Although we were going to lose anyways. Oh, sorry. I said 11. I can lose 11 life. I can't go below 6. Sorry about that. Mox Opal, Cliffs. Yeah, Underworld Breach is one of the worst design cards of all time. Like top 5 worst design cards of all time, I think. Okay, so now I'm at 7. If I flip a 2, I die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I could probably do this one. 13. Seems like it's not enough. Could I cast Diabolic Intent? Okay, so how many spells do I have in my hand? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Don't count the Profane Tutor, just 15. So how much mana am I going to have? I have 1 Mox Opal, I have a Phyrexian Tower, and then everything else is like mana neutral. So I can cast 1 Diabolic Intent for a Mox Opal, and I can't cast the other Diabolic Intent. Everything else is mana neutral, including the Freebooter, because I can sack it to the Phyrexian Tower. Oh, but I can only cast 1 of them. So it seems like I have to keep going. Hit an Ornithopter. We just recount 1, 2, 3. So it should be the if we just don't count the intents. No, the intent is +1 spell if I don't cast the other Freebooters. So okay, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can't cast this. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. 15. 16. I have to hit 4 zeros in a row. I mean, there's not really any other line, I think, here. 16. I'm dead. There's a Mox Opal. Oh, the Mox Opal gives me lethal, but it's just so close. I think the Mox Opal should have let me cast the other tutor here. Did I count the Mox Opal from the intent? Yes. Close one. Very close. I'm going to assume that they can find the line here. Okay, so the plan in this matchup is to board in the Angel's Grace so that we can win if our life total is too low. I'm also going to bring in the Nature's Claims and then 1 Haywire Mite. Yeah, no challenge today. Got stuff to do, unfortunately. So we can cut the Expedition map also when we cut the Boseiju. It's maybe too many sideboard cards. It'd be Mario Day. I don't know why today's Mario Day, but happy Mario Day. Let's try this. Right, let's keep this one. We got mana, we have a tutor, we have Angel's Grace, we have a answer for a hate card, we just need a creature to sack to intent. JP, how would you balance the weird, I'm an incredibly good Magic player who would queue if I push for it, but it's also not as profitable as not trying to queue. I want to present myself as a competitive Magic player thing that goes on with the fact that you stream full-time Magic for a living, and streaming full-time Magic for a living precludes you from putting the queue to work. How do I balance it? I mean, I don't really care, I guess. That is the case, yeah. I think I'm pretty good at Magic, as someone who does this full-time should be. I am someone who likes to build decks in a competitive mindset, and I like to give it out. But I'm 30 years old. I'm an adult. In my youth, I did the Pro Tour grind thing. I was in a spot where, like, I was two pro points away from silver with 9 months to get those pro points, and then with the silver Pro Tour invite, if I had a good result, I had like a real chance to make gold. I was really excited, and then in that point, they got rid of the pro point system, and that is the point when I became a streamer. When I decided to become a Twitch streamer. And so for me, like, competitive Magic is a hobby of mine. So I keep dropping cards. Competitive Magic is a hobby of mine at this point. My profession is building decks for the modern format and giving you guys tools to succeed. And that's something that I have found, I think, a lot more rewarding and satisfying than grinding competitive tournaments. And sometimes my life allows me to participate in tournament series. I'm still planning on going to SCG Indy later this year, and probably just SCG Indy and the Hunter Burton. But that's okay. Like, I have a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I'm very happy, and I don't really care that I'm not really grinding tournaments this year. Pro point system died with COVID before. It was before COVID. Do you think balance would be a good in modern? Well, we have restore balance, which is somewhat fringe playable. Are the Nature's Claims for their bombardment, or just to kill our stuff via life gain? The life gain can happen, but and this is part of the reason to play claim is you want to claim your own stuff sometimes. But this is to kill like Stony Silence, which is kind of tough because you have to like hold up the artifact mana. Did I see the super awesome Gruul Boggles list by Brian Boss? No, I would take a look if you linked it. Any thoughts on Dingo not running DRC in a Storm list? No thoughts. I'm glad Dingo made it. All right, but 2 minutes later, after we kept the hand, we get to pass with the Springleaf Drum in play. Okay, Gruul Boggles and the 10K. Interesting. I've played decks like this before, like a combination of Boggles and Prowess. Not really ever been something that I would say I liked, but I'm glad it worked out for them. Did A2? That's cool, yeah. That's a Voidwalker and Hollow One, like the top 32 of RC. I think it makes a lot of sense. I talked to Krista, who did that, and she said it was good, and I would recommend it. So I think if I draw an Ornithopter or a Memnite this turn, which I did not do. This seeing Dingo and Jesse make you consider grinding a little bit more. Yeah, Dingo, Jesse, Krista, my friend Josh Willis, all qualifying. It made me really sad I wasn't there. Like, I love these people, and I'm really happy to see them do well, and I wish I was there with them to celebrate. But I don't know. It's like, you know, I'm getting married this year. I'm working like really hard with a team to design a game. I'm writing a novel, and I'm exercising every day, and I'm building decks for you guys, and this is a lot of stuff in my life to juggle, and I did like spend some time thinking about it this weekend, and I just kind of simply put, like, I think of all of my hobbies, like competitive tournament grinding is just the one I don't have time for. It's just the one that like needs to not be something I'm pushing this year, and I think that is okay. Okay, so I'm taking 4 down to 15. Having the Angel's Grace, like, is very, very, very nice here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm just flashing back the Strike It Rich. Did I have time to pay attention to the tournament? Didn't have time to pay attention to the tournament. What was the meta? What would you expect? I mean, a Breach dominated. The top 8, I think, was 6 Breach, 1 Titan, 1 Boros. A lot of extra stuff that also queued. Dingo qualified with Ruby Storm, which is pretty cool. Breach ban. Yeah, there will probably be a Breach ban at the end of the month. I sell your breaches probably not not a financial advice stream, but seems pretty pretty clear that that's the path. Just I can cast the Ad Nauseam, but I can't cast the Angel's Grace. Classic. I think we'll just go to next match, 1-1. Ban Mox Opal. If you ban Underworld Breach, Mox Opal deck will rise. I asked people, what do you think is the next best Mox Opal deck? And what deck do you think would be which of these decks could be tier 1 if this would happen? I got one person who said Pod, one person who said Affinity, and I don't actually think Pod was in response to my comment. So, were we still alive there? Gain 4 from Claim. Well, the problem is if we gain 4 from Claim, we're going -1 mana. So I guess we could have drawn a. Does an Ornithopter give me 2 mana? If an Ornithopter gives me 2 mana there, then we could have played it out. I think they'll ban Grinding Station. So banning Grinding Station would be a huge mistake. You can just... There are some people just cutting Grinding Station from the list, which and comboing off anyways. There's also... you can play Enhanced Surveillance plus DRC for a very similar deterministic loop if you want to. That's even like less weak to artifact hate. And I think it's just like all these conversations of like ban Spelunking instead of Amulet, ban Grinding Station instead of Breach. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's a little bit weird. But also you can never predict what Wizards is going to do. But wasn't Breach a deck before Opal that wasn't too oppressive? This is not true, actually. Breach was one of the best decks in the modern format before the bannings and the shakeups. It wasn't super popular, but the players who were playing it were incredibly dominant. It was absolutely a dominant tournament deck that was only being played by a few players in the Ring metagame. It also played the Ring. It was like Corey would just would top 8 like every tournament with it. It's always possible there's another broken Opal combo deck that's not Breach broken, so it's always possible that there's another broken Opal combo deck that's not Breach broken, so there's no reason to innovate. Well, I'll say this. As someone who spends it's like their full-time job to innovate in Modern, I've played a lot of Mox Opal decks. There are a lot of like good ones that that like are somewhat playable, but all of them have been very, very weak to sideboard cards in a way that Breach isn't. Let's think about the various like Dice Factory combo builds we've had. Let's think about the the other version of Breach with the Eldrazi. Getting flames here. This is a weird game. Sorry, like I have dozens and dozens of Mox Opal decks. Some of them combo and some of them not combo. And like the Mox Opal is a card as someone who's been again like grinding this card full time and trying to innovate with it and trying to break it, like Mox Opal is a card that does kind of seem like it's very easy to be hated out. The card Underworld Breach is very difficult to hate out. I think that this is kind of a clear dynamic at the moment. The card Underworld Breach is very good. It's very hard to hate out. Maybe I should have held these for Storm because they have the binding. Broodskell seems like it can be pretty dominant once Breach is gone. I mean, I've played with Broodskell a bunch. I played against Broodskell a bunch. It seems very unlikely Broodskell is going to be tier 1 tier 1 broken. That deck has been very, very, very beatable. I promise that I promise that like or like at the very least, like I have not heard a compelling argument that there is even a tier 1 Mox Opal deck if Breach gets banned. Like I don't know that Broodskell is a tier 1 modern deck if it gets banned. Maybe we should be main decking an Angel's Grace. Okay, that's obviously a pretty good top deck. Like I don't think Broodskell would be tier 1 if Breach was banned. Yeah, there would be playable other Opal decks. So there's a comment on also, I disagree on Amulet. The deck can be too consistent. I don't think the deck is doing anything too inherently broken that can't exist in Modern. Yeah, this is something people say a lot too. And this is a conversation that's probably good to bring up too. So Amulet of Vigor, that you say doesn't do anything too broken. This is a 1 mana artifact that regularly makes 10 to 20 mana by turn 3. Very regularly. That is like just describing the card. That is pretty broken. Just I don't think that this is a hot take, but we can move on from that too. This is also a deck that can kill on turn 2, can kill on turn 3. Is very resilient to interaction. Has a small range of sideboard cards that even like do anything in the matchup. What's their plan here? Bolt my Memnite? So I don't know. It's like it wins very fast, very consistently, very resiliently, makes broken amounts of mana, and the expert players of the archetype also tend to perform much better than they perform at like a really, really, really unacceptable win rate in my opinion. And that's also my other point a lot of times is that the gameplay against it is also quite bad. Like gameplay against Breach is or against Titan, sorry, and Breach is like these loops that are kind of non-deterministic, or these loops that can sometimes fold if your opponent makes a mistake, or these loops that can sometimes fold if you have one piece of interaction, are pretty bad for gameplay too. And so these are usually my arguments for banning Amulet of Vigor. And I feel like all of these things to me make a lot of sense, but maybe I'm too close to the situation. Okay, so they do play some counter magic. They might have a consign also. I don't know if I should bring in the Duress or not. I think I should bring in a Haywire Mite, although maybe Nature's Claim 4 is a bit better because it hits the Stony Silences. Yeah, it also won the last RC in the Breach meta. Didn't win this one. It did top 8 this one. So I don't know. I would love. We can continue this dialogue, but you have to respond to one of my points. This is something that just hasn't really been happening. I feel is that I don't feel like I've really had these points responded to. It's just a lot of vibes. What are my thoughts on banning ban discussions? It's not the time, I think. Sometimes I think it's good to do that, but we have like a clear, I think, ban situation with Breach, and we have BNR creeping up, so it's time to be discussing bans. For better or for worse. So I can have 4 mana on turn 4 with the Profane Tutor coming off, but that may just not be enough because I'd have to draw another mana source, so I think we'll play the Pathway turn 1 here. I think the Orzhov deck claws back a bit after the Breach ban to be the best deck. So this is kind of a weird dynamic, right? Because like the main reason to play the Orzhov deck is that you had a pretty good Breach matchup. Although it seems like the Breach players kind of adapted to the Orzhov metagame and learned how to play against the deck too. Is something that seems to have happened. Is Saga a reasonable ban to hurt both Breach and Titan? I think it's reasonable. I think that it's like just not exactly what I consider to be like the offending card in either deck, but it is reasonable to do that instead. So I'm gonna try to chump block. I feel like Breach get banned. I also feel eventually Opal will go through what Grave Troll did. WotC unbanned it, thinking it was safe, and had to ban it a year later because something else came and made deck's better. Yeah, I've been saying this a lot. This is a common argument. I have yet to hear a single person tell me a single deck that they think will play Mox Opal and be even tier 1 if Underworld Breach gets banned. It's possible that is something that happens. I'm open to this idea that Mox Opal will go the way of Golgari Grave Troll. It was obviously a risky unban. I've yet to hear a single person say a single deck that they think would be tier 1 with Mox Opal would Breach be banned. So there's one person who said Affinity, and they were wrong. The Australian RC had 2 Opal Eldrazi decks top 8. Opal will be a problem. I would love to see a look to those lists. I haven't seen them. I'll say that I appreciate you contributing to the conversation. I don't exactly feel like this is enough data point to say this for sure, but this is a step in the right direction, an actual response and a dialogue here. I know you're an Affinity skeptic, but I think as the de facto 7 Mox Imri Tamio deck, it will be quite good. So I've been playing Mono Blue Urza Affinity. I think it's pretty good. I have been working on every build of Affinity. I've been hammering the list out. I've been trying them. I feel very confidently that if you want to beat these decks, they are very beatable. They are very weak to Stony Silence and Collector Oof and Force of Vigor in a way that Breach isn't weak to these cards. Breach is very good at grinding through these because of the card Underworld Breach. Like I think Affinity might be like a playable tier 2 deck, a playable tier 2 deck, and where there's a lot of hate for it, it's hard to play. And I feel that way because that's how it's been right now. I don't exactly know how that changes. Here's the winning Australia list for what it's worth. I don't think Opal should be. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, I'm not arguing that Mox Opal won't be a modern staple or won't be quite good. But I am arguing that it probably just won't be in a one clear tier 1 deck. This one, the Australian one? This deck is crazy. It's so wild to me that they have 2 Null Drifter, and beyond that they have actual 0 colored spells, right? So they're just casting the Null Drifter. I guess they just hard casting it a lot of the time. Just casting it off the Opal is interesting. When you say Affinity, you mean any deck with the Imri Tamio Mox Saga package? I don't know what they mean, but I also don't think that many decks can play. What do you mean any deck with Imri Tamio Mox Saga? It's you can't do that. You have to be an Affinity deck almost. Or tell me a deck that isn't Affinity based that plays those cards. All right, let's go to game 3 here. Brute becomes meta again. Yeah, maybe. I don't know that it would become tier 1. And Brute Scale also exists in a version we can see and is a very beatable deck. If Brute Scale is tier 1, if Brewscale is the deck to beat, we have an awesome Modern format. I don't know if we could even ask for a better deck to like even like be like a top Modern deck. I don't even know that it would be. And I don't even think... I think this is a great argument for keeping Mox Opal legal, I would even say. Okay, well, this hand needs a tutor, but I think you just have to keep these. Especially because we can Saga for... map for Boseiju. I feel like Titan is a deck that's very good at targeting a narrow meta, especially linear combo-focused one. It dodges most of the hate in sideboards for Breach, and Moon effects are at an all-time low because they aren't very good against Eldrazi. And Frog is splashing Catcher most because they're playing Harbinger. I think it's understated how difficult it is for Titan to do well in a meta where Moon effects are prevalent, especially in mainboard. Yeah, I don't know if that understated is the word. In fact, I would actually maybe say that the only environment where Titan is ever like not viable is where there's a bunch of main deck Moons, and I think that is not a great argument for keeping it legal, but it is an argument. I appreciate you for submitting it. But yeah, I think I agree that like the only time Amulet of Vigor Amulet is not a super viable deck is when there's a bunch of main deck Moons, which I don't know. I appreciate the argument, but it's not something that makes me like really want to keep it around. We haven't had an awesome modern format in a while. I don't have hopes. Well, I think it's definitely getting better. I think it's clearly has been trending upwards. I think it's been trending upwards. I am I have high hopes. Okay, so we're gonna get a Springleaf Drum. So we can make another Saga token and... Sorry, I guess I'll attack it. So I guess I'll have to sack the treasure. Yeah, Titan leading to metagames where there aren't a bunch of main deck Moons is... Yeah, I agree, is just kind of a good argument for banning it. I think there are many counters in the meta, and counters are great for Titan. That's true. Counterspells are good against Titan. The thing about counterspells, too, is that Titan can build their deck in a way that they're really resilient to counterspells, and they haven't needed to for a while. But like, it's not that tough for them to be able to play a bunch of Cavern of Souls, and counterspells are just not good against them. You know what I mean? Okay, so now they can double block a construct. How confident are we in the Breach ban? I'm like 99, 95% confident that they'll take action against the Breach deck. It seems likely that it'll be Breach instead of Mox Opal, but it's not clear. How Lost in the Sauce is playing Manglehorn over Outland Liberator and the Landfall sideboard. Liberator is really important so you can deal with Torpor Orb, I think. So my Profane Tutors ticks down here. BNR is March 31st. Okay, so I have to cast an Angel's Grace to survive. Yeah, we also already have a main deck Collector Oof in the Nautilus deck. If aggro decks are killing turn 4 through removal, combo has to be faster, at least to be able to fight through some hate. If these decks are too fast or too resilient, what place does combo have in the meta? I mean, this is a very big question that also doesn't make a lot of sense, I guess, because one, aggro decks should be able to kill turn 3, and sometimes through removal, at least in the format right now. There are also tons of combo decks that can kill by turn 3, and in general, my philosophy on combo decks is that it's good for there to always be a viable combo deck. I think it's important that in your modern format, combo be viable. This is something I think. Also, this game is so sweet. I should probably be talking about this more, but whatever. We're here. I think it's good for combo to be viable in modern. So hopefully they bolt because it doesn't do anything, and then they tap. I guess they still have blue mana up because of the ley line. I think combo should be viable, but I think that if a combo deck is popular, and you're building a mid-range deck, or you're building a control deck, you should be able to say, this is the deck I'm trying to target this week, and you should be able to pretty easily beat it. I think for any deck should be able to choose to beat a combo deck. I think when combo decks are just not beatable, when combo decks are not able to be forced out of the metagame and kind of rotate out, that's when we get to a big problem. We get to a big problem when combo decks don't rotate out. I think one thing that has become kind of clear is that modern gamers are very much used to not having metagame evolution. I might not actually have enough spells to Grapeshot here. You might have to get kind of creative. Especially because I've already played my land. Alright, but here's my entire deck. Let me just start casting. They could still consign. They could still consign. So what needs to happen here? Although they just block each construct, don't they? I was gonna Nature's Claim each construct. Yeah, I think I just don't have enough storm. Why is Breach not weak to Rest in Peace? So the thing about Breach is that the card Rest in Peace is good against them, but they play at so many disenchants post board, and they play a lot of card draw with cards like Tamio, Flame of Anor, Malevolent Rumble. I guess there's more selection, but they just play a lot of answers to cards like Rest in Peace. They have Urza Saga for Haywire Mite, Nature's Claim, Leyline, and then Scions. I don't have enough mana to do that, and I don't have enough Nature's Claims. I guess what I could do is can I go claim, Grapeshot, kill I think I can go Grapeshot to kill the Scions, and then attack with my gigantic constructs. I think that should work. Maybe make sure I have enough mana to do that though. So right now I have 2 mana available. Am I out of Mox Opals? No, I have 1 more Mox Opal. Need 2 more Mox Opals to go double claim though, because I've already played my land. Oh no, I have this Wild Cantor. Perfect. Okay, so let's go. Claim. Can't they just float the blue? Well, we're not in play around consign territory right now. We're in try to be able to win this game territory. Yeah, I know Striker Rich is free storm. It's not mana positive though. But we will storm up as much as we possibly can before casting the Grapeshot, which I think is... Oh, so we still have Cantor and Strike It Rich here. And Drum. We will lose to Consign. Another claim. I don't have enough mana to cast another claim. Okay, so I'm going to target them first so I can go same targets after I apply these. Oh, they don't have blue mana anymore because they didn't float blue. Okay, I see. Perfect. So we should win. These are 1919s. Cool. I'll say, we lost to Boros, but beating Frog and beating Domain Zoo is really good because these decks are usually like the 2 best decks in the format against spell-based combo. So the fact that in this league we beat both of them, despite rambling about bans the whole time. I think it's pretty good, pretty important. So this is almost a turn 4 win because the tower gets me up a mana. This is a turn 4 win if I draw Strike It Rich, Wild Cantor, Ornithopter, Midnight. Not Mox Opal because I won't have Metalcraft, but Mox Opal plus an artifact, Strike It Rich. I think I'm gonna just keep. That should be enough. Why no Angel's Grace main? Don't kill yourself. So the idea is that we're boarding them in against decks that are pressuring us. It kind of does seem like we should have one copy as a tutor target main deck. So maybe on our second league we'll do that. Tap Steam Vents. Okay, we drew the Strike It Rich. So it's important that we play the Saga turn 1. Although I guess we could go strike. We could actually go just flashback Strike It Rich on turn 3. Still seems like something I want to be doing, so I could get Expedition Map for Boseiju if it feels like we need to play around that, play around Counter Magic. And it seems like we'll need to try to play around some Counter Magic. With second Profane Tutor, it is really important that one of the Profane Tutors resolves. Oh, okay. You know, counter spells on the uptick, I guess. Playing against 3 out of 4 of our opponents are playing counter spells. Glad we're main decking the Boseiju. Spike chat, non-magic question. I'm proposing to my girlfriend in another country on Friday. Any tips for bringing the ring with me without her finding out / TSA pulling it out? So I put the ring in a magic deck box, the one place I knew it would be safe. So that's a good way for her to not find it in the luggage, I think, and a good way for the TSA to, not reveal it probably. The real answer though is like, at the very least, like when you're proposing, like she probably knows if you're going to another country together, and it's, I would just not sweat it too much. Enjoy yourself. But yeah, just put it in a magic deck box and you probably be fine. TSA always makes me open my magic boxes. They haven't made me do it in years. They used to. Opponents in the tank here. So taking too much damage to the Snapcaster is actually a concern on account of the whole Boseiju situation too. I think I'm actually grabbing Memnite to block. Okay, so if this Mox Opal resolves, we can suspend a tutor here and then play Saga, and if it didn't resolve, then we would play the land. So get our construct out of bolt range. What's our plan against counter magic? We have a main deck Boseiju and an expedition map for Boseiju. This is actually our first league with the deck, and this is our 3rd out of 4 opponents who are playing counter magic. Although we actually beat the 2 gamers who were counter magicking. It does seem like they probably have a Flame of Venor though. Maybe not. Maybe hasn't read Mox Opal before. Snapbolt, sure. So my opponent is tapped out. Should I play around Force of Negation? I'm definitely going to tutor Ad Nauseam. So I can go make a construct. Yeah, there's also Flare of Denial. Yeah, let's play. It seems like this is a good spot to play around it. Doesn't really seem even that close. I'm going to go ahead and sack the expedition, the treasure, so we don't really need it here. think they have Flare, turn 2 Snap is suspect. Yeah, it just doesn't really cost us, like, it maybe costs us 0 life to play around it. They may have, like, Sink into the Stupor up, though, or Lightning Bolt, which is the actual concern, but I think it's just probably fine. Yeah, let me be able to attack with the Construct here. Yeah, the real problem is I think like Bolt Snap Bolts too. Okay, so we get to bottom a Diabolic Intent there, which is exactly what I was hoping would happen with the Scry. Bottoming the Intent is gonna make it where it's like we have 1 in our hand, so we only have 2 mana value cards in the deck at the moment. So no, we dodge Sink into the Stupor. My opponent's at 16. We could do a similar thing with this Construct and a Grapeshot to kill a Snapcaster Mage. So I want to try to stay at least 4 life here. Though we can't really play around Bolt Snap Bolt too well, probably. Although we have hit a lot of zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have played my land this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. And then 3, 7, 8. But I only have 2 mana, so it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to like intent for not enough mana. There's our last intent, so we have no more 2s in the deck. Or sorry, the last one is on the bottom. Bauble, Drum, Opal. 1. Wait, I thought I played the Phyrexian Tower this turn. Oh, I didn't. Okay, I haven't played my land this turn. Sorry, I thought I played the tower. Okay, sorry about that. That does make this a lot easier. Boseiju question mark? Yeah, isn't it great here? What's the what's the question? Although my opponent can counter my Diabolic Intent. Why not Pact of Negation? Well, this is an early draft of the deck for sure, but in theory, once your Ad Nauseam resolves, you're going to be finding your Grapeshot and casting it, and this doesn't need to fight through a removal spell. But it does seem like you could play a Pact in the main. Maybe you could play Pacts in the sideboard. I have Duress in the sideboard, which helps us to beat Consign, which is, I think, also not something that beats Pact. Alright, doesn't seem like they're falling for any more bait here. I think we might as well cast a Freebooter because we get a treasure token off the sack. Orm's Chant might be decent. Yeah, the deck list that was the initial idea had the main deck Orm's Chance, but they have the Spell Snare. Well, let's attack. Interesting. So now they have I guess they're probably going to shuffle. I have 2 intents also. Okay. How do you go with Basim deck these days with Mox Opal and such? I think the deck's okay. I think the mono blue Urza deck with Counterspell has been my preferred one of these builds for a while. Because they go ahead and shuffle that Mox or the Spell Snare. Steam Vince instead. I believe Underworld Breach deck is the best deck in Modern. Why not play it? Are you asking me why I don't spend my entire stream grinding Underworld Breach all day? Because the answer to that question is welcome to twitch.tv/aspiringspike. This is explicitly a brew channel. We focus mostly on the Modern format, but what we try to do here is innovate and try new things and try to attack the Modern metagame from an interesting angle. Look at this deck. You've never seen it before. Isn't it sweet? Consider following. Consider subscribing. Also shout out... sorry, I keep forgetting there. I think their username was Awesome Mixtape for the initial idea here. Freebooter instead of Shambling Data. Yeah, the Scry 1 is like way more relevant. It was actually really relevant that game than the -1/-1 option. You just always make a treasure token. Alright, let's, I don't think, bring in the Disenchants. I've seen on Blue Skies from one we did yesterday. I posted something yesterday. Maybe you're talking about that. If I met me. Yeah, I like in this deck you almost will never want to -1/-1 something. It'll happen sometimes, but like I think always getting treasure plus scry is better than getting treasure or -1/-1. The scry is relevant enough in my opinion. But yeah, I think Mixtape had a did have the Ghast instead. Yeah, the Profane Tutor is nice, and then we also have Urza Saga to tutor up Boseiju potentially. Okay, pretty good. So we probably need to tutor up a Mox Opal for black mana. They have they have the mountain. So another one. I think Springleaf Drum is going to end up being better here. Cantor also helps a little bit. Actually, these are blue. Just classic. You think this is red. So the Harbingers are going to make it to where it's going to be very difficult for me to get through counter magic. Maybe I can like intend for Duress. They find a Tamio. Life total is also getting kind of low. So they can play the Freebooter for the option to just go block, make a treasure token, and cast Ad Nauseam. That gets flared. Alright, let's go to game 3, I think. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna... I mean, I could get another drum. My life total is just so low. I do think we need an Angel's Grace in the main deck. That seems like a change we need. But I think on the play against this control deck, right now we can avoid that. Okay, on the play. So I can go turn 1 Profane Tutor if I want to. Also playing, I think we have some tension here because we could play Saga turn 1 and make a Construct turn 2. I think let's do that. Let's plan on doing that. Let's plan on going Saga, Drum, Ornithopter, Strike it Rich. And let's plan on just making a Construct turn 2, and then on turn 3, we probably get Expedition Map with the intention of tutoring a Boseiju with that. But we probably just make another Construct. And like, you know, just present this plan and then go from there. And then hopefully don't get dressed down. Sulfur Falls. You would think that card would be pretty out of date with the Verge. Wait, does the blue-red Verge tap for red or blue? Don't actually know. So this is an awesome top deck because this lets me suspend Profane Tutor this turn without really missing a beat. I can also end up expedition mapping for a construct. You're kidding, dude. All right, our line didn't play around Dress Down very well. Let's get expedition map. Next turn we can set up through the Boseiju, although they're probably going to, counter the Profane Tutor at this point. Would it be too greedy to play Tower and both suspend Tutor and create Construct turn 2? Well, then you couldn't make a Construct turn 2, right, if you towered? I guess you could, actually. Would have played around Dress Down, but, Dress Down's not as particularly common card in the metagame. Drew an Intent. Taps red, but has the frame on blue, and the labs always mess with me, I see. Okay, plays a Snapcaster out. Okay, well, not much to do, but hope they don't have a 0-mana counterspell, I guess. Play around Spell Pierce, I guess. Not feeling very likely to resolve. All right. Tough. 2 and 2. Not register the card Knight of the Reliquary, basically, under any circumstances. So we have the Ad Nauseam in our opener, which is always pretty premium. This hand has not a lot of mana. I think I'm supposed to keep this on 6 and hope that this Mishra's Bauble is kind to me. Probably should mulligan this if it was a 7-card hand. What about Urza, Land Destruction, Smallpox? Smallpox is like pretty embarrassing against Boros usually, and it's a problem that maybe they won't take the Ad Nauseam. It's a problem that Smallpox, which is supposed to be good against creature decks, is just pretty bad against like the Ocelot Pride Johnny deck. I suppose we're supposed to play it out so they don't know that this is just a win against me to Thoughtseize my one of Ad Nauseam. Although if I just miss a land, we'll move to game 3. Surprised about the extremely high breach conversion rate from SIDEBOARD tournament yesterday. Yeah, it definitely did better. I can't even make a contract. It definitely did better than I thought it would do. I thought it would do well. I think this exceeded expectations even more so than I expected. It seems like they almost for sure Wizards will take action against the deck at the end of the month. Okay, so bring in these. You could have made one construct. I could have made one construct. Yeah, I think it's just better to go. Yeah, you could play a Conjurer's Ball. We have the one Ad Nauseam in our hand again. However, this is a turn 2 win if they don't have Thoughtseize. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I'm counting this as 5. Let's keep. If they just Thoughtseize my Ad Nauseam twice, that's fine, I guess. And I think I should probably keep the Bauble in my hand. Oh, I guess we should play out the Bauble, but I'm not going to crack it, so I could draw Mox Opal to win next turn. Mox Opal off the top for the turn 2. Okay. Don't I have 5? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. With Tommy help getting back Ad Nauseam. So we only have one Ad Nauseam in the deck. It's an issue if it's in our hand and it gets Thoughtseize, but we're mostly just tutoring for it. This deck is pretty glass cannon-y. It kind of just is what it is, I think. Alright, we'll take the life here. And then... yeah, I think we should have Mox Opal as an out to win this turn. I think that's just still better because we can just still win the following turn if we don't have that. Another one. What's the advantage of Profane Tutor for Ad Nauseam versus play more copies? Great question. So Profane Tutor has a mana value of 0. Ad Nauseam has a mana value of 5. Kind of simply put, the deck doesn't function if you have a bunch of 5 mana cards in your deck because you're going to take too much damage. But the deck does function if you only play the 1 copy. So our opponent has Auram's Chant. Maybe. Maybe they just have an upkeep stop. Do we have more 0 creatures or Moxes because a 0 creature was a win there? Because we could play a second Phyrexian Tower. We do have more 0 mana creatures. I guess we should have cracked the Bauble. So we have nothing in the deck that costs more than 2, so you just kind of mindlessly click yes, I think, in these spots. Alright, we flipped the Grapeshot. Seems like a time to go for it. The white Spore Frog that gains life so you can play more copies of Ad Nauseam. Well, the problem with that card is that it's not a Spore Frog. It gains life equal to the amount of life you've lost this turn. So if you kill yourself with Ad Nauseam, there's not a window for you to gain that life back. My opponent Surgical's Ornithopter in response. That's why I led on the Ornithopter here. They did pay life points, so it kind of seems like they may have another piece of interaction here. Yeah, this is a glass cannon deck. Okay, so in order to stop them from surgically my Mox Opals, which would actually kill me. Okay, we win. I was going to play the second one after, like, immediately. Okay. So we're going to game 3. Thanks, saying Oko for the 17 months. Okay, this is very funny. This is our only match against the Thoughtseize deck, and the Ad Nauseam has just been in my hand every single time. I just have to keep, I guess. I don't know. It's, what can you do? What can you do? They don't have a Thoughtseize again. The only real way to go up on mana on your Storm turn is Moxes. Well, if you haven't played a land yet, you get Phyrexian Tower, but yeah. Do you think the new Dragon Mox will impact Modern? What's awesome about that question is that I thought the answer to that question was going to be no. And then I'm working on this deck, and I'm like, I would probably play the Dragon Mox plus some Changelings in here. Maybe, I don't know how many, but it seems like kind of like actually something to do. So hopefully they don't have any more of those. If we draw a 0 mana creature, we can go off next turn. Can you play 1 mana legend and Mox Embers? I did think about playing 1 mana legends. I looked at every single 1 and 2 mana legend in the format, and there was nothing that seemed like a good direction to go down. Yeah, Automaton also an artifact for Mox. Okay, we might get there here. Do you hope they unban more cards of the month? Any more that are really safe? There are several cards that are pretty safe. I do hope they unban some more, yeah. All right, I guess we are going to sit here and we're going to hope, huh? Doesn't seem like they have a Auram's Chant or a Thoughtseize, but maybe they top decked one. You said you liked Penguin but didn't like Andor because it's still started. Penguin to me seems like a show where absolutely nothing happens in the first 3 episodes. Yeah, this is a talking point the Andor propagandists have. But I don't know. It's just like for me, like the dialogue in Andor is when I call Andor slow, I'm not saying it's just dialogue heavy. I just don't think the dialogue is particularly good in the beginning. So I think I'm actually supposed to grab the Grapeshot here and just make my Ad Nauseam better because we don't need the extra mana. But yeah, I'm not. I guess we might. No, we have the drums, so the drums are going to turn into mana later this turn. Yeah, I'm not just saying it's dialogue heavy, so I don't like it. I like dialogue heavy shows. I don't think that. But dialogue can be like interesting and fast paced. And I think Andor kind of struggles with that. So they're effectively at 23 because they can Solitude their own Overlord. Is Hypergenesis safe? I mean, Hypergenesis is worse than Glimpse, and Glimpse doesn't see play. Hypergenesis doesn't exactly add a lot to the format, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm at 2. How many intents have I revealed? 1, 2, 2. So my storm count can be... I guess I need to just first count how many opals I have. 1, 2. So the number of 3. So the number of opals are the number of extra 1 mana spells I can cast. So my storm can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Can't cast any more 1 mana spells. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Which is not enough to beat the Solitude we know is in our opponent's hand. My opponent can go up to 23. Is it better for me to go Intent? And it's not really any different to cast 3 1s than Intent into... Oh, I can Intent for the last Opal. So I could go Intent for the last Opal. Oh no, the last Opal's in play. Never mind. Okay, so I have 22. Draw mana. Draw mana is mana neutral. 17 plus 5. Okay, let's recount. I'm just going to do the 1 mana spells at the end. So I can cast... I have 3 Mox Opals plus 3 drums. So I can cast Grapeshot plus 3 non-mana generating 1 mana spells. Oh, I can Intent a Freebooter to make Freebooter a 1 mana spell that gives Storm Count 2. Can I do that twice? I have 2 Freebooters. Their life total is 22, not 23. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, let me just recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14. I'm only counting the 0 mana spells. 15, 16, 17. So I can also go play with my 5 extra mana. I can go Freebooter. Sorry, my 3 extra mana. I can go Freebooter, Intent, get a 0, get a treasure back, and cast another 1. Sorry, I don't remember the number of 0 mana ones I counted, but it seems like I can go to 4. Oh, the storm count's at 3 already. Ugh. So it seems like we're good. You have 5 extra mana? I have 5. I'm counting the 2 for the Grapeshot. So, sorry, I need to do this again. Unless someone remembers the number I had. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so 17 plus 3, 20. 20 plus 4 is 24, which should be good. So let's say no. Sorry about that. Just doing the tough ones first. Can flashback Striker Riches. Well, Striker Riches is basically a 2-mana spell here, which is worse than just casting 1-mana spells. But this here is a sorry, it's Esther's under lesson. I gotta mute. Sorry, but this is basically a 1-mana spell because it gives us a mana back. Or sorry, it only gives us. It is a 2-mana spell, isn't it? Huh. So my Mox Opal is tapped. Storm count 22. So yeah, so we can beat 1 Solitude and not beat 2. We can beat 1 Solitude and not beat 2. Okay, well. Cast another 1-mana spell. I can cast the Grapeshot. What a miserable deck. What a miserable chatter. Good morning to you. Okay, 3 and 2. Please go elsewhere. Okay, so that was our first league with the deck. We went 3 and 2. I think going 3-2, beating Frog, beating Domain Zoo, beating Black White is really cool. We lost to Wizards. We lost to Boros. And I do think that I want to make some changes. I want to ship it again. I think I'm interested in playing the first copy of Angel's Grace in the main deck. I think I'm interested in potentially.